Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam. President Donald Trump has announced that it is Liberation Day in America. April 2nd of 2025. It is Liberation Day in the United States of America. President Trump is trying to create an environment for fair trade. And the way to achieve that is to use tariffs. Tariffs are means to an end, and the end goal is to have fair trade. The United States of America has been treated very unfairly by many countries around the world. A lot of countries impose a lot of tariffs on the United States of America. And during his speech today, President Trump mentioned India, Vietnam, South Korea, and other countries. In fact, the list is long. Countries that impose a lot of tariffs on the United States of America. And let me share with you a very important number which will help you understand the magnitude of the problem. Reportedly, in 2024, the United States imported $1.2 trillion more in goods than we exported. It's a massive deficit. Can you believe that? So we are buying from all over the world. We are importing, but those countries are imposing tariffs, and we are not selling to those countries as much as we are buying from those countries. We are importing more and we are exporting less. And that's bad for American businesses. That's bad for our economy in the long term. Now, this did not happen overnight. We did not get to this point overnight. It's a problem that has been going on for quite a while. And the problem kept growing and growing and growing and getting worse. And now President Trump has to take bold action to restore balance. The White House has highlighted that April 2nd, 2025 will be one of the most important days in modern American history. President Trump is imposing reciprocal tariffs. The goal is to make the United States strong again. The goal is to make the United States wealthy again. The goal is to build businesses in America. The goal is to expand the private sector in America. The goal is to expand American manufacturing. The goal is to support American businesses. And President Trump's plan will bring back business to America. Faced with tariffs, companies will be encouraged to produce their products in the United States. Rather than having assembly plants, manufacturing facilities in other countries, companies will be encouraged to produce their products on U.S. soil. And that means more jobs for Americans, better wages for Americans, and growth and prosperity for Americans. And that's what we want, my friends. That's what we want. It is America first. And our great leader, President Donald J. Trump, he understands that, and he wants to make sure that he's doing everything possible to make America great again. And keep in mind that tariffs are a negotiating tool. Countries may reduce or eliminate tariffs that they impose on the United States when those countries face the reality of reciprocal tariffs. And also, reportedly, the Trump administration will establish the External Revenue Service. External Revenue Service. And people want to know what this is. I'm sure you've heard about Internal Revenue Service, which is the IRS. And now it's tax season. This is April 2nd, 2025, when I'm recording this podcast episode. And this is tax season right now. And many people have filed their taxes already, filed their returns, or they are getting ready to file their tax returns. And, if you're a taxpayer, you know what the Internal Revenue Service is. It's the IRS. Very important. Okay. And, it's important to file taxes on time. Okay. So that's the IRS. Okay. You file taxes and you've got the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. You send your tax returns to the IRS. But then the External Revenue Service will be for collecting revenue from tariffs. So the External Revenue Service, not internal, but external. So collecting revenue from tariffs, that's going to be the purpose of the External Revenue Service. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of revenue we collect from the tariffs. And so hopefully we'll find out more. We'll get more information from President Trump regarding the External Revenue Service going forward, okay? My friends, remember, it is important to focus on making America wealthy again. And that is what Donald J. Trump is trying to do. Now, I understand that there are people who are worried that prices may go up as a result of the tariffs, but you have to understand that we have to keep our eyes on the long-term benefits. Yes, people think about the short-term impacts, the short-term effects, but you have to think about the long-term. If we continue with business as usual, which would be other countries imposing massive tariffs on us, but we're not imposing tariffs on them. We're importing more than we are exporting, and if this deficit continues, it's not going to be good for the American economy. And we're going to lose businesses, and businesses may leave the U.S. and our jobs will be lost, and we will continue to import more and more and not be able to export as much. And it's not going to be good for the country, good for the United States, not going to be good for the United States in the long term. And so over time, things are going to get worse. And remember one thing, we are becoming more and more dependent on foreign produced things. And too much dependence on on products of foreign countries can lead to a lot of problems down the road. And so you have to look at the bigger picture. There's a problem, and President Donald J. Trump is trying to solve that problem. If we produce goods in our country, if we produce goods on U.S. soil, then we become strong. We become strong as a country. Then we can consume locally produced goods, domestic goods, and then we can also export. So we can produce what we need internally in our country for domestic consumption, and then we can also export. And so we need a strong business climate in the United States, and that is what President Donald J. Trump is trying to establish. Now, if you listen to people on the left, if you listen to liberals, they'll tell you things like, oh, the world is coming to an end. What Donald Trump is doing, oh my God, it's bad. The world's coming to an end. But trust me, it's not. President Trump knows what he is doing. He's got, his experience as a businessman. He's got his knowledge. He understands what to do. And then he's got great advisors. He's got a great cabinet. He's got great people working in his administration. And so trust me, when the liberals tell you, oh, the world's coming to an end, that's how they present things in front of the public. It's like, oh my God, what Trump is doing, the world's coming to an end. No, we're going to be fine. Trust me. We are going to be fine. Tariffs are a tool used in negotiations, and we have economic objectives that we have to achieve. And I would encourage you all, if you're listening to this podcast episode, if you're watching the video version of this podcast episode on YouTube, let me tell you, it's important to go and look at an article that's published on the website of the White House. It's called Tariffs Work, and President Trump's first term proves it. Go read that. Go read that, and you'll get a lot of important information from that, okay? And also there's a fact sheet on the White House website. It's called President Donald J. Trump declares national emergency to increase our competitive edge, protect our sovereignty, and strengthen our national and economic security. This is a fact sheet that is available on the website of the White House. And, the information that's available on the White House website, you'll find helpful information, articles that talk about pursuing reciprocity to rebuild the economy and restore national and economic security. And the facts are presented in those documents. And we have been having large yearly goods trade deficits, and those deficits have really hurt our manufacturing sector. When a country's manufacturing sector becomes weak, that's extremely bad for the long-term health of the economy. And so, go look at the fact sheet, look at the article that's on the website of the White House, and you'll find a lot of helpful information that'll help you understand why the Trump administration is doing what they are doing. There's something called the International Emergency Economics Powers Act. In short, it's called IEEPA. And using his IEEPA authority, President Trump will impose a 10% tariff on all countries. And this will take effect on April 5th, 2025 at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. President Trump will impose an individualized reciprocal higher tariff on countries with which the United States has the largest trade deficits. All other countries will continue to be subject to the original 10% tariff baseline. And this will take effect April 9th, 2025 at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this is information that I found on the website of the White House. And there are lots of other details that you can go and look at. Okay? According to the fact sheet, President Trump can increase the tariff or decrease the tariff based on circumstances. So if a country, let's say a country decides to retaliate, then tariffs will increase. And if a foreign country takes steps to find solutions to trade issues, if a country wants to find a friendly solution, and then at that point, President Trump can decrease the tariffs accordingly. So he's going to have that authority to do that, to increase the tariffs or decrease the tariffs, make the adjustments that are needed. Now, here's a key sentence from the fact sheet that I'm going to read to you. So listen to this. President Trump refuses to let the United States be taken advantage of and believes that tariffs are necessary to ensure fair trade, protect American workers, and reduce the trade deficit. This is an emergency. It really is an emergency. It is an emergency. And see what I told you at the beginning of this podcast episode. Fair trade. This is exactly what the fact sheet mentioned. President Trump believes that tariffs are necessary to ensure fair trade and protect American workers and reduce the trade deficit. And so, my friends, there are foreign-made products that are flooding the U.S. market. But it is time for us to focus on made in America. Each product that is made in America is a sign of strength. It is a symbol of determination. We want things to be made in America. We want to see factories and assembly plants, and we want to see businesses in operation on U.S. soil. We want to see those factories and assembly plants in operation. We want to see American workers busy producing products and then packaging the products and then shipping the products to their final destination. When we go and shop, we want to see American-made products on store shelves. And that's not a dream. It's a vision that will soon become reality, given the work that President Donald J. Trump is trying to do. We want to see jobs coming back to the United States of America. Made in America. It is beautiful. Just say it. Just say it. Just say made in America. And you will feel the strength. You will understand the determination that the Trump administration has to make sure that we make things in America. We strengthen the private sector in America. We strengthen the manufacturing, the industries, the manufacturing sector in America. American workers producing American products in American factories. It's amazing. It's amazing, my friends. There are companies that are already declaring that they will build factories and expand operations on American soil. And that is exactly what we want. Now, I'm going to give you some examples from the information that's published on the website of the White House, okay? So I'm gonna read to you information that you'll find in the fact sheet and other articles that are there on the website of the White House. Okay, so let me read to you a few sentences and you'll understand how serious the situation is. And you'll understand the reason why President Trump is doing what he's doing. Okay, so here it goes. For generations, countries have taken advantage of the United States, tariffing us at higher rates. For example, the United States imposes a 2.5% tariff on passenger vehicle imports with internal combustion engines, while the European Union 10% and India 70% impose much higher duties on the same product. So we impose, the US, we impose 2.5% tariff on passenger vehicle imports, vehicles with internal combustion engines. Well, the European Union imposes 10% and India imposes 70%. Much higher duties on the same product. For networking switches and routers, the United States imposes 0% tariff, but India levies higher rates between 10 and 20%. Brazil and Indonesia impose a higher tariff on ethanol than does the United States. So United States imposes 2.5%. Brazil does 18%. Indonesia does 30%. For rice in the husk, the US imposes a tariff of 2.7%, while India, Malaysia, and Turkey impose higher rates. And so India does 80%, Malaysia does 40%, Turkey does 31%. Apples enter the United States duty-free, but not so in Turkey and India. Turkey is 60.3%, India is 50%. So, I mean, go and read the information that's available on the website of the White House. Read those articles. Read President Trump's statements and the fact sheets. Because, I can't, there are tons of information there. I can't summarize it all. I'm just sharing with you some examples, but you'll understand why President Trump is doing what he is doing. And it's not just the tariffs. There are also non-tariff barriers. These barriers could be in the form of certification requirements or testing requirements, just bureaucratic barriers that other countries establish in order to, these are not tariffs, but these are non-tariff barriers. So a foreign country may impose very complicated certification requirements and testing requirements, which, result in American companies not being able to sell products to those foreign countries, not being able to export. So I'm going to give you an example. This is also from the White House website. Let me read to you. India imposes their own uniquely burdensome and/or duplicative testing and certification requirements in sectors such as chemicals, telecom products, and medical devices that make it difficult or costly for American companies to sell their products in India. If these barriers were removed, it is estimated that U.S. exports would increase by at least $5.3 billion annually. So I could go on and on and on, but you understand why the tariffs are necessary. And imposing tariffs, it's not an easy decision. It's not an easy decision. You can, if you just go back and review the events of the last couple of months, and President Trump has been talking about tariffs before being sworn in as the President of the United States. So the world knew that tariffs would be coming, and now it's becoming reality. And so President Trump has been discussing tariffs and tariff-related issues for quite a while, for months now. And obviously you hear people on the left, like I said, they pretend like the sky is falling, the world's coming to an end. It's not. Everything's going to be fine. But imposing tariffs, it's not an easy decision. It requires a lot of calculation. It requires understanding the geopolitical impacts. It requires understanding the global economic climate and trade relationships, so on and so forth. And so what President Trump is doing, he's bold, and he's taking bold action. He's going to make sure that the United States is not treated unfairly. We have been treated unfairly for a very, very long time. Okay, all you have to do is look at the long list of countries that impose high tariffs on the US. And just ask yourself, how long has this been going on? And now we got an administration in power that is actually going to do something to find a remedy, to address this problem, and to send a message to the whole world that we will not allow this to continue. We want fair trade. We want to make sure that there's a fair and balanced environment globally so we can engage in trade. The United States wants to do trade, but fair trade. And to get to that point, to ensure fairness, the problems need to be addressed, and President Trump is doing just that. And so the tariffs are necessary, and the Trump administration understands that it's not an easy decision, but it's necessary. And so I am very, very confident that things will get better, because the world is getting a message that the United States of America has a real leader in charge. This is not the Biden administration that they're dealing with. This is not the Biden-Harris administration anymore. This is the Trump administration, and Donald Trump has an excellent cabinet. Excellent cabinet. I mean, just think about the cabinet members, all the different people in charge. They have knowledge, they have experience, and they have the willingness to do what is right. And they understand the America First agenda. And they are on the same page. They are on the same page. President Trump wants to make America great again, and his cabinet members, they are on the same page. They understand the priority. And so you got great people in power. Our country is in good hands. Think about Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Think about all the other leaders in President Trump's cabinet. They are great people, and they are doing what is right, what is necessary. We, the American people, we elected President Trump not to do business as usual, but to take bold action and to make changes. And that is exactly what he is doing. That is exactly what he is doing. It's no more business as usual. It's no more politics as usual. President Trump is doing what is best for the United States of America. And he understands that these decisions are not easy. But he has been elected to do big and bold things. That is exactly what he's doing. So my friends, Liberation Day in America, April 2nd of 2025. Share with me your thoughts. Share with me your thoughts, my friends. I want to hear from you. If you're listening to this, you may agree with my viewpoints. You may disagree with my viewpoints. You may agree with some of my viewpoints, but not others. Whatever the case may be, I want to hear from you. So share with me your thoughts, your comments, your opinions. You can do so by going to my website, tossifanam.net, by sending me a message through my website. You can email me. My email address is tossif@tossifanam.net. You can also connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I am on X, formerly known as Twitter. And I am also on Truth Social. So you can find me and you can connect with me, share with me your thoughts, send me a message. I look forward to hearing from you, my friends. And I want to thank you once again for continuing to listen to my podcast. And I hope to be back again soon with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.